Rolling and action. You're all on mute. Please unmute and begin.
Hello, fellow Proud Madridistas, and also hello to some humble Madridistas such as Sunaid as well. Welcome back again to another episode of Let's Be Real 1902. So before we start, let's just get a feeling of how the hosts are feeling ahead of the Grand Derby, which is coming on Saturday, on Sunday. Jacob, I see, I see you don't need any motivation if you're, as motivated as the man in the background behind you. How are you feeling, man?
Exactly how I feel whenever I see Pepe. Like I'm expecting a really tough match. I'm like bracing myself for the derby.
Definitely. Okay, let's come to you, humble sir. How are you doing, Mr. Sunaid?
All good, man. Excited. This has all the right ingredients to be a feisty classic, like usual. Like no L derbies are ever without incident.
Definitely. That's something very
How
valid.
are you feeling, Farooq? How are you feeling? Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling just like the background behind me as well, man. I mean, we are ready for this, man. The game against Atleti, as as you rightly pointed out, is always feisty, and as a derby should be. To be honest, if you guys could recall, I think it was in 2009 or something like that when our fans were requesting that we want a worthy rival for the derby. You remember during those days, and now we come and we play. We literally go to war when we play the derby, man. Yeah, it is what it is, to be honest. So what a good time to be a Real Madrid supporter if you're a proud Real Madrid supporter, not humble people like Sunaid, I would say. Anyways, so before we move on, let's just get something out there. Like yesterday, our Reines Blancas first episode was published, and to be honest, it was a blast. If anyone gets the chance, just you can just check it out. The links are in the description below, and also you can follow Momentum Madridismo. And I just want to shout them out because for ignorant people like myself, it was a real dive into like I've always wanted to get into the Femenino thing, but like it's always been like so complicated and okay, how can you do this? How can you do that? I am too late in and all that. But to be honest, like the guys actually gave a whole breakdown from the refereeing thing to the players to the tactics. Even they talked about maternity leaves in football, man. Like they talked about the players being pregnant when they came back and all. So to be honest, I think it was a really good introduction for people like me. So I think we definitely should check them out and should keep an eye on that. And I believe it's something really good. Anyway, so moving on to our our agenda of the day, the Grand Derby on Sunday. So I will just say this then before Yeah, go on, man. Go on.
You got to actually remind the people that it's a live call-in show.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just gonna actually allude to as well. So I was gonna say that today it's a live call-in show, actually, guys, and we want to hear your thoughts because this is the Grand Derby. Like this is what we want. This is the game of the games. Like this is why we support Real Madrid eventually. Like for this kind of games. So it's a live call-in show. Descriptions are in there, and as we did the last time as well, everyone comes on and has 5 minutes. So in the 5 minutes, we can you can share your opinions, share your discussions, and obviously, let's just remind let's all keep it civil as usual. I do believe all Madridistas are civil human beings eventually. So obviously, emotions can go one way or another, as Pepe embodies. But yeah, I believe we can do this. Anyway, so let's just dive into the situation. Let's see what's happened before we discuss and delve into the current situation. Let's see what's happened in the past. How are the players faring? How are the teams faring? So we'll just start, by the stats we can see on the screen right now. We can see that the 5 past games for all the teams. And obviously, we don't need to discuss about Real Madrid because, as we do what Real does, we just win and win and we keep winning. But what we can see for Atleti is that Atleti have, won 3 of the last 5. And actually, they lost at Levante as well, and they drew at Sociedad. But one important thing that actually, stood out for me was the fact that Atleti actually has conceded 5 goals. And I think that's something very, very huge, considering you played 5 games and you've conceded 5 goals. And the more important thing you should also notice that Atleti has kept 2 clean sheets as well. Or rather, sorry, 1 clean sheet. I don't know, I'll just start with Jacob. Jacob, what do you think about this? The fact that they've conceded 5 in 5 games?
I mean, this was the prevalent pattern even for last season, I guess. But then last season there was a different reason. Like Jan Oblak, he didn't have a really great season. But this season, like they're playing a bit more open, generally speaking. And yeah, the scoreline also reflects their style of play right now.
Interesting. To Sunaina, I'll pose this question to you though. They've scored just 8 goals and we've scored 14 goals. That's nearly double. What's your take on this?
It's like it has always been the way. We tend to be the more swashbuckling, elder brother compared to Atleti, who are always much more worksman like in their approach to football. So this is not a surprise. Goal scored, but yeah, they tend to have lost their identity that made them so great once upon a time. I think it's a part of gradual evolution, but as long as the results go your way, I don't think you feel too much pressure. But now I think they're kind of the fans are kind of fed up with Simeone being a little little too defensive sometimes. But then some people argue they aren't actually defensive. Like some people say the media and the general fan paints a picture that they play a 5-5-0, which is not the case. But there are some glaring deficiencies in their setup, and we'll get into it in depth soon enough.
All right. So since we've discussed about the form of all of both teams, now let's see what has happened in the past between these teams. So actually, in the past, we can see that for the past 20 matches, Atleti has 5 wins, Real has 8. They have 2 home wins to Real's 6 home wins, and they have 3 away wins to Real's 2 away wins. So actually, we can see the more interesting is in the previous 5 games, Real has 3 wins to Atleti's 1, and there's been a single draw. And actually, the curious thing we have to see here is that there's a pattern here. In all 5 games, no game has more than 2 goals. And just one game has one game has a situation whereby both teams actually scored in all 5 games. Like it's been a very, very feisty affair. It's been very, very tight affairs, which means that it's just a very, very it's a moment. It's gonna be like one opportunistic moment which wins the match. Let's just return to you again, Jacob. So what's your take on this? Do you see any change in pattern? Do you think this is the time where we break this and we start to have high scoring goals? Because as Sunaid was pointing out earlier, it's an evolution, it's a change in a process.
Absolutely, it's certainly a possibility. But if you look at even the past games, I'm not sure if you have the XG stats as well, but I'm pretty sure they're all we actually overperformed our XG, because I remember us scoring off of set pieces, and even you could even call them lucky goals to get ahead in most of those games. So you need a moment of luck in these sort of games, but if there's ever a season to have a high scoring match, this would be it.
Okay, let me come to the humble Real Madrid fan now. He's going to quash this idea, but then as I'm just going to take on Jacob's point, he said it's a lucky game, but then I say Real Madrid, we make our own luck. What do you have to say on this?
Obviously, we make our own luck.
Oh wow! So you're not going to be humble on this?
I don't know why I should be, because this seems like a perfect setup for us, because when we are put under pressure is when we are at our weakest. I feel, we are a very press-resistant team, but when teams hit us, especially early on, in the earlier stages of games, we kind of look a bit shaky. But from what I've heard and what I've seen of a few games that I've watched of Atleti this season, is that their press doesn't last very long. And it doesn't last long enough to completely stamp an authority on the game. And as usual, Simeone gets back into his shell of defending with a flat 5 at the back. So I don't know. It's going to play into our hands eventually.
I do hope so indeed, to be honest. I'm a bit, confident, given the form we're going in. But then speaking of form and previous matches tonight, can you just, you actually just alluded to the fact that you've seen some Atleti games. Can you just take us through the situation Atleti currently is in?
Where do I begin? So it's not easy. It is never easy being an Athletic coach. We gotta first actually put into perspective what you guys think of Simeone, right? I'll get to what I think he is in a moment, but I want to know what both of you kind of feel about Simeone, because when he broke into the scene, he was a breath of fresh air. He was the antagonist who wanted to go up against people who wanted to play brilliant football, accelerating football. With Atleti, that is a team that has a tight, strong budget. He managed to overcome a lot of obstacles that might have kind of might not have been possible if it was some other coach. But yeah, I'll ask you, Jacob. So from the very beginning, how has your opinion about Simeone changed, or has it changed? Is he still a top coach, a world-class coach that is aptly guiding Atleti to where they want to be?
Yeah, even asking if he's a top coach, it's kind of insulting to his track record, because if you look at the past decade, he has made it to a couple of Champions League finals with this particular team, and all credit to Atletico. They have been patient with him, but even he has had to adjust over the years because of the players that he's been given. So huge respect to him. Because I've been a Mourinho fan from the starting, he was the new one to actually follow and keep track of. So huge inspiration for me.
That's a good point. Somewhat he is also in the same mold of Mourinho, you could say. He also instills the same kind of fighting spirit and winning mentality, which is clearly evident. I've always felt like managers are a team basically is a mirror image of a manager. So I've always felt like Simeone's team basically is him on the pitch, which can go both ways. They can get quite temperamental in the thick of things. But Farooq, what do you think about Simeone? Has he evolved enough to keep up the pace with the rest of Europe?
Actually, so the thing is, you rightly pointed out about Simeone was the one who came in to disorganize the established order, you understand, and he came in on a budget and what is and what is not. But actually, and you now talk about the word evolution. So I actually feel why actually I liked Simeone was that he was the kind of person who had a way to play, and you don't have to you don't have to like it, but it was an effective way of playing. But now Simeone finds himself in an unfamiliar position whereby he has all the resources right now. And because the Wanda Metropolitano is one of the best stadiums in Europe, okay? He has the money to buy players like João Felix for 120 million euros, That's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Real Madrid's purchase still has it, right? I think it's 106, 107 million euros, something like that. I mean, that's much more than our record transfer, He has opportunity, to pay outrageous salaries to players as well these days. So he finds himself in an unfamiliar position. And because of that, he cannot justify, keep playing negative football while amassing, this amount of expense as well. So personally, I just feel Simeone might have lost that factor that made them, because you could remember. Exactly, I would say that. You could remember in the past, we had the situations with the Diego Godins, the Juan France, the Diego Costas, where it was we against the world, They were just there. And I do know the past with even Radamel Falcao as well, Courtois, David De Gea, just to name a few, you understand? So even not to forget about Felipe Luis as well. He was a fantastic player as well, So they had this core of, 8-9 players who were the core players there. And they were ready to go to war for Simeone, Even mix Arda Turan as well. He just retired this week, actually, These were players they were both technically gifted, but they were also gifted in the dark arts as well. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like these were players who like
they knew how to get under the skin of their opposition very well.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, just I will just say this as well. Like I think it was Raul Garcia who got Cristiano sent off in the final, right, in the Copa del Rey, if I'm not
Raul-
mistaken. Was it Raul Garcia? I can't remember exactly, but I think
like, it doesn't even matter what team he plays for. He always gets under.
yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to talk about that was the peak Atleti. That was when they were at the best. When like even though you win against them, you know that you have to give something.
Yeah.
You literally have to leave your soul on the pitch, even if you win. Like at what cost? Because even last season, like in the City game, Atleti were a bit back to their old selves. And even a lot of people will point that, oh wow, City gave so much in the Atleti game. That's why when they came against Madrid, they couldn't be at their best and what's not. But you could tell that. But now the point is that Simeone, I don't know whether it's the pressure from the board or the pressure from the social media, because the point is the fans at the Metropolitano, they worship him, even if he keeps to feed them that kind of negative football. But in my opinion, I think actually it's not negative football. At that point, it was that he had to devise a plan to fight with what Real Madrid and Barcelona had.
Yeah.
Even to some extent what Sevilla and Valencia had then, But now I think that he finds himself in an unfamiliar position, and then he has succumbed to pressure and tried to, renovate everything and become
But let me counter that point. Okay. So, like you just alluded to the fact that he kind of succumbed to the pressure. But I want to counter it by saying the La Liga of a couple of years ago that they won, when they started the season, people could see there was a clear shift in direction, and they were much more open, and they were not having the signature backbone of Cholo's teams of yesteryears. So they were really concerned whether it was sustainable. But they clearly had the tools to play such swashbuckling football, aided by some of their players actually coming into their own, like Thomas Lemar and whatnot. But it clearly sorry.
Yeah, like you forgot Marcos Llorente.
Marcos Llorente, yeah, a big part of their La Liga winning side. But you could see that even when Atleti are a much more progressive team, they can actually play some good football and actually win titles. So there is evidence that even if you're not as rigid as before, you can still get the job done. Although Barca and ourselves were kind of lacking that season, like Messi was depressing, like all that is a factor. But the fact that Atleti went on to win the title should probably enforce or reinforce, shall I say, Simeone's faith in his team. But I still don't get why they are so defensive. There was an instance in a match that I watched early this season. It was against Villarreal at home. So like I could watch only bits of the game. It was like around the 40th minute or something, towards the end of the first half. And all 10 players of Atleti are in their own box. And Villarreal is basically passing between their centre backs, Pau Torres and the keeper. Like, I don't know why you can't just commit people enough to go and press them into making a mistake, but you would rather sit back at home against an opposition that on paper is inferior to yours. Like, I don't get it.
I can reason in the way that they might be saving themselves for the second half and keeping up their energy levels, because like you said, they do their press does fall off after a bit, so that must have been weighing on their minds.
True, but like so many times I've seen them
absolutely like they have the personnel to go right in there and then press the hell out of teams.
Yeah, but like I wonder why this basically cold approach to games is going to help them. Like, I really don't understand. Like, if it's
I think I might have a hunch, maybe an answer, I don't know, to your question, to your dilemma. The thing is this, you actually pointed out a very good example. You said 2 seasons ago, Atleti won the league. The point is this: who was the striker then? It was Suarez, who had a point to prove to Barcelona. the man was back to, his very best. Because if you check, all the teams, all the Athletic teams, even Simeone's teams, we've had Diego Costa, Radamel Falcao, these were people who were putting the ball in the back of the net constantly. You need just one chance a game and it was a goal. But right now, the point is that, João Felix hasn't come into it. Alvaro Morata has missed chances. Cunha is still very young also. He still needs experience to learn his trade as well, So like now he doesn't have that out and out number 9 who needs one chance, one goal, game over. Now this doesn't exist anymore. So I think that's one of the reasons why, you have these fluid players, with João Felix, Thomas Lemar, Antoine Griezmann, and all these people. But like none of these people are actually, very, very extremely, you can say like these are sharpshooters, These are one chance, one goal players. None of them are this, you understand? So I feel this might be one of the reasons why, we are still unable to see that, how should I say, like, that explosive Atleti that could have been, in my opinion.
That's a good point. It has always been the case, to facilitate Simeone's anti-football at times, you need the characters on the pitch. Like, regardless of the system, regardless of how he wants to set up, if the way he wants to kind of stifle opposition attacks, they need more than personnel and more than tactics. It needs personalities. It needs players of the mold of.
You need the players to basically outperform their XGs. So that special player.
No, I just didn't mean XG. I mean, XG is also a factor, of course, but I also was kind of alluding to characters like Raul Garcia, characters like Luis Suarez, who are much more than what they appear to be, who can actually kind of break up the rhythm of an opposition. So but delving into how they started this season, it looks for
Mr. Sued, before you go, we have one caller here. It's actually someone you guys actually know, so I'll just let him in and then let's see. Okay.
Very good.
Hello, Mr. Edu. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
You calling him your boy? I never did, but go on.
Okay, let's phrase it in this way. Like, Yadu, what was your favorite Simeone moment of the last 3 years, or maybe even 4 years?
We'll actually be getting into it in detail, but like we were kind of starting off how Atleti are looking at the moment.
We'll actually be getting into, like you alluded, the second half syndrome that both teams have this season in detail when we kind of get to how the teams are going to set up and shape up. But I was actually getting into how Atleti has started the season and how a couple of injuries have kind of derailed their stability in a way. You don't need a prompt. You can walk in anytime. Right. Right.
All right.
This is the guy behind. This is for all the people out there. This is the guy behind everything that's going on. So he's
He's
the
our
linchpin.
CTO,
Yeah,
the Chief
CTO.
Technology Officer.
He's the linchpin. We are just the chess pieces. So.
All right.
See you. See you.
Actually, we have someone who spammed our comments, man.
Right.
Yeah, man. Raul07, Opa Atletico, man. The man just literally spammed and sticking over our comments.
What is he saying?
Opa Atletico, man. He just keeps typing it over and over and over and over again.
Like, tell him, like, Raul, if you're listening, if you have anything more than Opa Atleti to say, you could totally, jump in on the meeting
or even if you want to say Opa Atleti on the call, you're welcome to come.
Exactly. Definitely.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Atleti is a team that severely lacks representation, at least on the internet, so it'll be nice. It'll be nice. But yeah, so I was kind of wanting to delve into how they kind of started this season. They made a couple of good signings. They signed this new right back who one second. I was kind of trying to bring this thing up. It's not loading. Yeah. So they kind of brought in a couple of new signings like Molina, who has kind of stepped in sometimes to basically deploy Lorente in midfield. And they also have signed Axel Witsel, if you guys are familiar with the guy, because when I was growing up, he was touted to be the next big thing. And you know the case when you play for Dortmund, it never really, the tide is always against you, and you kind of have Bayern always like eating up trophies. But still, Witsel, before his injury, was a very, very key player for Dortmund. And I've heard after his injury, he clearly fell off the cliff, especially his athleticism that kind of was once one of his biggest strengths in the middle of midfield. He, like, when you see his stature and how tall he is, like you would expect him to be clunky on the ball.
Fellaini-like.
Yeah, you would expect a Fellaini in Witsel, but Witsel was much more than a lanky CDM or a CM. He was very creative. He could score goals. He used to be a proper leader. So the very reason why Dortmund kind of got rid of him was his lack of athleticism. Basically, he people say that he lost all the pace he had before his major injury. But Atleti took a gamble, especially they knew this guy is a fiery character and he brings in lots of experience in multiple positions. He can play center back, he can play CM, he can be part of a double pivot, he can be the lone CDM. So this guy is very versatile. So they went for him, and by the looks of it, if I actually look at their team sheet from match day 1 against Getafe, he lined up in defense, So the reason why I want to bring this out is because when I read upon the internet, people were mourning that since they missed Savage and Jimenez, their whole uh, lineup sort of fell off. Um just because they lack able enough defenders, Witzel had to like start at CP. But from the looks of it, from match day one, Witzel was kind of deployed as a centre back alongside Savage and Mandava. So I don't understand where they come from, but from the looks of it, I always feel like this is not a problem of personnel or a problem of change in formation. This has always been a nagging issue for Simeone, um, building up attacks and kind of ball progression and general play. To put it plainly, I want to ask the panel. When you watch Atleti like without like micro scrutinizing what positions people are taking on the pitch, as a layman, you're watching on your couch, you're watching an athletic game. What do you think about the general play? Like, does it generate enough quality chances for a top team? I'm going to come to you, Jacob. What do you think?
So from the athletic games that I've seen, their main source of attacking and chance creation has generally been to punt the ball up the field to the wingers, especially to someone like Carrasco or Angel Correa, who really have pace and who can progress the ball really well, especially Carrasco. He can absolutely take a player or two on by himself and, bring players into play. And even João Felix, when he does play, he is a really good ball progressor. So they certainly have the personnel to do it. It's just that they like to take a more forward approach. They like to play more on the wings instead of building out from the center. And but personnel does play a role here too. Like from the center of the pitch, if you look at their midfield, like Koke is like a really quality midfielder, but apart from him, the rest of them are basically destroyers. So DePaul, he can't play those intricate passing plays, but he can like punt the ball up to the wingers and generate chances. So I feel like it's a mix of both things that causes of their play to stagnate, and they end up creating like way less quality chances than top teams.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. You mentioned DePaul. He was touted to be a very exciting prospect, but even their own fans do not think that he is going to be a solution to their problems in midfield. And I've seen him; he's nothing special. He can do a job. He can do a job in any team in the world, but like he wouldn't exactly start for the top team. But I want to get to you, Farooq. Yeah. There's clearly this problem that Atleti have in the middle of midfield, which they are still battling to this very day. And they have to sort of resort to, sometimes playing Saul as wing back and maybe in game move into a 3-5-2 sometimes to add an extra man in midfield. What do you think about Saul? Because the general narrative is that he has completely fallen off and is no longer the player that once we thought was going to be among the very, very best of his generation.
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. Like, I think Saul Niguez's form has, gone out of the window, man, down into the toilet, and it's gone, to be honest. Because, and you actually alluded, that's the thing, even last year he went to Chelsea as well. And also he played on as a wing back for Thomas Tuchel as well last year, Even when their midfielders were falling, they had to bring back Ross Barkley to play, man. That's how much Saul Niguez's, stocks have dropped. To be honest, I know, that's the thing, like football is a very fickle thing. Today you're on top of the world, and tomorrow, like you can't even pass the ball 5 yards, man. That's the thing. Like, to be honest, like it's just that. And also, I think also like, what we're just talking about, like the revolution of whatever you want to call it eventually, like, it's not that, it's not something that actually has, eased or rather helped his cause as well, to be honest, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And now, like Atleti also has moved on, to be honest. Like right now, the only reason why he's playing is because, like, as you guys pointed to, like lack of personnel, like, when you consider the fact, Thomas Lemar is out because of that, Axel Witsel has to go down into the DM as well, no defender. So, I mean, when you have the fit first 11, like Saul has no place around that place.
No place in it. No place in it.
Exactly.
That's why, like, he has been deployed as a wing back, also as a midfielder. But some of the stuff that I've read on Twitter and in general Athletic spaces, that they're just praying, no more Saul anywhere near the starting 11. This guy was someone who signed a 9-year contract, if you guys remember.
Yep.
Basically a lifetime contract at the club. So this is just insane to even contemplate that someone of his caliber has completely,
At one point, as I think it was in 2018 or 2017, Ceballos and Saul were the golden boys of Spain. They were the up and upcoming midfielders, and then what, life just happened to them, I guess.
Saul, even before that, I still remember his solo goal against Bayern. Was it 2016?
Yeah.
It was in 2016. So Saul has been around for a bit, from there, I don't know what happened to him. Like, I just know what we can read upon, because we don't watch them week in, week out. Another big point that the fans are kind of fed up is basically Simeone playing Reinildo. I mean, not Reinildo, Mandawa as a wing back, because when Mandawa came in, I still remember watching him in his first few games. He looked proper. He looked like this. I think he came in from Lille or Rennes or somewhere. I think he came from the French league. He didn't look out of place at all. Very combative, very quick, extremely rapid. His reading of the game is next to none. He is, I think, maybe the only saving grace in defense for Atleti. So the fans were kind of pushing for wing Mandava to be never deployed as a wing back. It goes to show, like some games you see Carrasco. Imagine us like sitting around our table and joking about, oh, Carrasco is going to be playing wing back. You would say, the person who says that is crazy, because I never saw Carrasco as a wing back. This is what Simeone does to you. Nobody is disrespecting his achievements ever, because what he has done Atleti, like what Yadu pointed out earlier, is basically catapult them into superstardom. Nobody can take that away from them. But stuff like this boggles your mind. They have enough money. They generate enough money to actually buy quality wingbacks, But I don't know how playing Carrasco at wingback is going to help you. This is where I want to kind of make a segue and ask the panel. Does his style of play and the tactics he implement stifle really good players? People always cry about Joao Felix. If he was in a better team, he would be earning parcel accolades. Like
Hashtag free Joao Felix.
Yeah. Like, if people actually resort to make that kind of a hashtag trending, it doesn't look good. So I want to come to you, Farooq. Does it actually stifle really good players? His play style.
I would say, like, we've seen a lot of good players, come out of this place, like come out of that system. Like, I mean, you've seen Antoine Griezmann, for example, before at one point he was touted as the third best player behind Messi and Cristiano. We had Radamel Falcao as well, so I wouldn't say so, because even Koke has.
But you gotta kind of put it into perspective. Falcao was a really good player before Atleti, right? Griezmann was a really good player before Atleti as well, for Sociedad.
The point, what you have to put into context is this, right? Like, Falcao was a good player at Porto, right? And Griezmann was a good player at Sociedad. So the point is that you can't. How will I say it? Like, even Suarez was Suarez. Like, I mean, I don't need to make a comment about that. I mean, the point is, you can see that these players are from teams where the pressure is lesser. At Porto, like, he almost wins the league at Canter. At Sociedad, like, even if he finishes 5th or 6th or 7th, like, no one cares. Like, if he goes on a 5-match drought, it's not a big deal. But like right now, it's when you go to when you join Atleti, especially Simeone's Atleti, like you're expected to compete on all fronts. For example, okay, what would you say about Diego Costa then? Diego Costa also came to the fore at Atleti as well. So I would say, not even that, also we can mention also Arda Turan as well, the number 10.
Yeah.
So, these are all players who came to the fore at this club, to be honest. So I feel like it's just, it's a very cheap shot to take and say like, okay, he stifles these players, because the point is all these players have come there and they've gone on to better things, like Falcao left for Monaco in a mouth-watering deal. Diego Costa left to Chelsea in a similar situation, and we all know what happened to Antoine Griezmann. So the point is just, it's about, do you have the right character to thrive in this environment? And I pointed out earlier, one of the things I feel about that's happening right now in Simeone is that he's always had that man who could score out of one chance. But right now with Felix and Cunha and the current version of Griezmann, and unfortunately Alvaro Morata as well, they all can't do this. So I think it's just down to character and how you're willing to adapt to the situation. But I wouldn't say exactly that. Simeone's team is not the teams are not the most expressive and expansive teams out there, but they also give that attackers a freedom to also show what they can do. Because let's not forget, Carrasco made his name here as well, man. That's the thing.
Yeah. Very fair points. Very fair points. Well, like people who follow enough football, they can kind of always have the counter argument, like you had that the narrative that Atleti kind of stifled brilliant players is a farce, and like what is evident to casuals who watch a couple of games or might watch highlights of a game they lost is not the entire picture. People like Arda Turan, like brilliant shouts, who actually made a name for himself at Atleti. But moving on to one of the games against Sociedad, which was a couple of weeks ago, which was the game that actually got Oblak out. He was injured. I saw the game, and immediately you could see the panic. You could see the panic among the staff, among Simeone, among the players, that once Oblak was kind of on the floor, rolling and in pain, you could see them being hopeless. Like Garbage has come in and has been okayish, a backup keeper who is always going to be in the shadow of someone like Oblak is going to be cold. So he wouldn't be exactly match sharp or wouldn't be there mentally yet to kind of be starting goalkeeper for Atleti. But this game was a significant turn in this season, which nobody saw coming. Although Oblak was kind of like what Jacob alluded to earlier, that he wasn't in the best of form. He is, to this day, top 5 keepers in the world, even if he is kind of off form. And he is a very big reason why Atleti are where they are, right now. And especially the last 4 or 5 years, how much he has helped them out. I want to come to you, Jacob, since you mentioned Oblak, right? Put it into perspective, how much of a loss it is. Like you kind of lose your rhythm, the whole of defense, if your starting goalkeeper, and one of your captains is missing.
Absolutely. Like Oblak, he likes to command his area. He likes to come out to the crosses and smother everything. He likes to organize the defense. So it's going to be a huge miss, at least from an organizational perspective. Maybe Gribic can do the job with the short stopping and other stuff, but you miss a lot when you miss like one of the, like you said, one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world at the moment. So even if you go back a few years, like there would have been no shout for anyone who was a better keeper than Oblak. So maybe just in the last year, his form started dwindling. This year, I guess he's towards the end of last season and now this season as well. He's been pretty okay. He's come back to his own good form. So it's going to be a huge miss for them.
Oblak has been an interesting case, like he has been this undisputed linchpin for Atleti. Like he has had so many offers from across Europe, but he decided to stay and be loyal to the club that made him. Uh, he's gonna be a huge miss. He's gonna be a huge miss for whatever period he's out. Like you alluded to, like he's gonna be a huge miss. But
Do we know exactly how long he's out for?
I'm not actually sure. But from what I read on Twitter, it feels like it's gonna be a while. I mean, not like 2 or 3 months, but I think at least 4 weeks. That's what I think. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like 3 to 4 weeks.
Right, but yeah, lot of games in the next 4 weeks.
Lot of games. But the international break is coming up, right? I think after this match day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they're gonna be safe, I guess, Jacob. They're gonna be safe for a bit at least. But yeah, that's pretty much about defense. So they just don't know what Simeone wants to do, especially when like even when they are on missing players, like they look very shaky. So I was watching the game against Leverkusen, which they lost 2-0. Felipe, as good as he is not quick. He is someone that reminds me of Varane, whereby he, like, not in terms of pace, but he always causes his own problems and kind of has to resort to last ditch tackles to kind of rescue himself and the team. And he looks like the shakiest part of that defense. At least Witzel, even though he's slow, he is pretty commanding. I feel like he and Mandava can do a job, but Felipe looks like the weakling, and we gotta target him. We gotta target him big time, big time. Leverkusen played to the script. Essentially, like they knew how to kind of get at Atleti. But the narrative, like I mentioned before, the narrative was that Atleti wasn't creating enough chances and they were kind of sitting back. But they had their fair share of chances. Like especially in the first half, it could have actually gone either way. Morata and Felix has an understanding. They might not be exactly prolific, but they can play neat football up top. And when you add the legs of Llorente into midfield and kind of the combativeness that Koke brings into the play, they can actually do a job. But like especially in Europe, I felt like when Atleti kind of underestimate the opponent, it never goes well. It never goes well.
Wait, how's that possible? I thought like Atleti are always the underdogs with any team that they play.
I mean, that is kind of the picture we get, right? But in my opinion, they only consider themselves underdogs against the established hierarchy in Europe. They wouldn't call themselves an underdog against Leverkusen. I mean, nobody would. Would we do that? No, we wouldn't. But yeah.
But that's how they go out to play,
Yeah, totally. But I want to ask you, Jacob, right? Like, so do you think that when they are not the clear underdog, they suffer?
Yeah, obviously, like their whole plan of play and then attacking throughput, like it depends on them progressing the ball through the wings and quick, fast passes to get to a direct shot towards goal. And when the opponent lies back, they are forced to be in situation that they're not completely comfortable with, that they are not training for, I believe. So yeah, like once teams sit back, you're putting them in a really uncomfortable position, and they're just a team set up to hurt top teams, and they try and slog through these smaller kinds of teams, but in the end they usually get the job done.
Yeah. Anything to add, Farooq?
I was just gonna say that like that's the thing, like as I alluded to earlier, like Atleti used to be the team that even if you get a victory against them, you're gonna have to give something as well. Something has to give for this. But I think even now it's still a bit of so. But I mean, now it's just that they're stuck in this wilderness where, as you pointed out earlier, they don't exactly know what the coach is asking from them, or if it's that lack of I don't know, how can I say it, lack of know-how or lack of personnel, I think. So it's just very weird. And I was seeing the highlights to the game against Leverkusen, and to be honest, I mean, I was just wondering, how did the Simeone team concede these goals, man? Especially the second goal. It was so weird, because they were just caught out, and it was a counter attack, and all of a sudden, they were in no man's land. And I mean, I can't remember a single time when Atletico was in no man's land, man. I can't.
They say because when the opposition team is kind of trying to play out from the back, and the opposition defenders have the ball. They attack us, basically Felix, Morata, or Cunha. They go and press, and essentially they say that the press is not in sync, and the midfield is kind of very exposed, and these guys have to cover huge spaces across the pitch. And Koke, as good as he is, and Kondogbia sometimes when he plays as good as he is, they don't have the stamina to do that for the entire 90 minutes. Yeah, I think that's what happens.
No, but Sunit, I was kind of confused because were you referring to our team, Madrid, or Athletic? Because we seem to have the same issues with our presses, right? So we have a very disjointed press as well, with our midfield having to cover a lot of ground, and it's just one attacker or two attackers just going after the ball, and then they just give up in between. So we have the same story as well on our side.
A very good point, very good point. But I think it's much more of a fact that we don't have a choice. Probably might be with Simeone, but Kondogbia, I don't know. Kondogbia was always that guy who was this relentless presser. But we could say our midfield can't press consistently. It was always that's why the whole game plan was kind of have a log block on the way to winning the Champions League last season. So yeah, we both kind of have similar problems in a way. But yeah, man, Farouk. So that's I think that's, from what I read, that's the reason why there's so much space for other teams to attack, and they only have spells in which Atleti is very very efficient in pressing. And I feel like it is gonna be, like I alluded to earlier, perfectly played into our hands, especially in the second half, if Kroos and Modric get on the ball and kind of dictate where the match goes. So it is gonna be interesting. But yeah, I think that's much more about that's all about how Atleti is going to kind of set up. Any thoughts about Llorente? People say Simeone wants to not start Llorente at all tomorrow, and wants to kind of bring him in around the 60th minute with Griezmann to provide a fresh influx of energy. How well do you guys think he has performed ever since he left us? I'm gonna come to you, Farouk.
I think to be honest, at least I would say for the season where they won the league and the season before that, for last season, it wasn't really at the highest level, to be honest. It was good in patches last season, the form was up and down. But I would say for the 18 months before that, I mean, he was performing at a whole different level, man. He was performing at the level that forced Enrique to get out his Barca bias and call up someone from Madrid to start in the starting 11, man. Llorente, and actually for me personally, to be honest, I never wanted Llorente to leave. But Zidane also was very similar to Carlo Ancelotti in the sense that he always just had 14, 15 players where he never just changed, and it was very difficult to rotate. At least in his second spell. In his first spell, he was much more flexible. But in his second spell, he was very, stringent with the players he plays or not. So yeah, I think Llorente was right to leave. Personally, although I selfishly wanted him to stay, but to be honest, he went there and he developed. I think he developed into the perfect Simeone player because he plugged every hole they had. defensive midfield, left back, right back, center
Yeah.
back. Even he played as a number 9. You know, I could remember, like, you know, when they went to Anfield, he played as a number 9 and scored actually in the game at Anfield also. You know, he scored, I think, 2 goals, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. Well, I mean, so that's the thing, man. Like, to be honest, like he's exceeded all expectations, and just kudos to him, and like he put his head down and he just worked and worked and worked.
Was that Llorente performance somewhere in 2020? Right, somewhere in 2020 or
Exactly, yeah, it was
yeah.
early 2020 because it was just just before the pandemic started. Actually, it was the last match that was played before the pandemic started. Before they closed the games. They stopped the games.
Which coincides with the stat that I can't believe this man. The stat that I'm reading right now. It says that Simeone hasn't won consecutive Champions League matches since 2020, which is insane. You know,
Even counting group stages.
All counts.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
Man, you know, actually, funnily enough, you know, like, sorry for interrupting, he hasn't qualified until the last day for the past 2 Champions League seasons, man. They've all qualified on the last days of the group stage. I think if you guys could remember, like, the fiasco with Porto last year, I think they won 3-2 or something like that. I can't recall the score exactly, but it was like 1 March where, like, you know, that was not a game, man. You know, when, you know, a lot of people actually, like, when the ball goes out, stop the time, so we should play full 90 minutes of football. Yeah. I can guarantee you that match went on for maybe maximum of 30 minutes. It was just fights. The ball was out. This was in. Like, it was, wow. It was like, you know, I don't know, man. It was like Porto came and they studied the dark arts of Atleti, and, you know, they came to provide Atleti with the shit house that Atleti, you know, used to dish to people. And it was just crazy, to be honest. It was a crazy game.
Since you alluded to Porto, you know, like it's only fair that we touch upon the Porto game they had away. I mean, not away, it was at their home, and they were tied to a deadlock for, I think, the entire 90 minutes, and everything happened in injury time. You know, Felipe scoring a goal, then conceding a handball, you know, just like 2 minutes later, and then Griezmann scoring to win it all, essentially. I mean, you clearly see that, you know, Atleti in general needs many things to fall their way to even stand a chance. I mean, when they actually broke onto the scene, and when we had the back-to-back Champions League finals and then winning the La Liga against Barcelona, in that time period, I never felt like, you know, Atleti would fall off to a point where they kind of need to rely upon things going their way, because they were relentless back in the day. And like people actually questioned, you know, like, if Simeone can churn out another dynasty. Do you think he has actually done it? Like a transition from one crop of players to the current?
Wow, that's a loaded question, man. I mean, it's too early to answer that, man. I mean, we have to wait for, I would say, 1-2 seasons more, because the point is, you know, as you alluded to, the point is that when you start checking, you know, the likes of Ronaldo, you know, the likes of Kondogbia, you know, the new signing Molina, you know, Thomas Lemar started to get into his own as well. He hasn't fully, you know, we have Mateus Cunha, who you don't know exactly what you're getting for him. He's so young as well. And you have João Felix, who is just, you know, hasn't lived up to the hype so far. And you just have, you know, Morata just drifting his space doing what Morata does. So, I mean, it will take a bit of time at least to be able to, you know, answer that question without any sort of prejudice.
Yeah, that's fair points. That's fair points. But Jacob, do you think he has actually been aiding Atleti, like, to do a smooth transition from, you know, his earlier days to now?
Absolutely. Yeah, you could say he has been able to phase out a lot of players and replace them with different players. I wouldn't say they were like-to-like players. So he's transitioning them towards a different style of play. I'm not sure it's towards a good and positive change, but it's certainly a change. You know, I guess we'll come to know the fruits of this transition maybe in 2 or 3 years, maybe, with the current crop of players all hitting their peaks.
Do you think if it doesn't be better and they don't win any major titles, he'll still be in the job?
I'm going to say, like, Yeah, just judging from past 2 seasons,
Mm.
it doesn't look like this is gonna be a super successful team because they, like you said, like everyone said, like they lack a certain identity of years past, and it doesn't look like they're totally solid and totally relentless.
Mhm.
So I feel like Simeone himself might step down like after 2 or 3 years if things don't go his way.
It's a very it takes a toll on your on your head, this is no easy job, especially the kind of football he plays. I have no idea like how he
That's
still
insane.
still manages to be manic on the touchline, like game in game out. So but since we are on Atleti, we need to kind of pull our segue into a curious case. Felix, 120 million. He was touted to be the next big thing. Came in for big money. People already knew that 120 is basically them paying for his potential, and not exactly for what he's going to bring to Athletic now. To be fair, he has won a La Liga title with Athletic, but I don't think he was the main reason. It was Suarez, right? Like we all know, he was the guy who kind of made Atleti finally win La Liga. But Farouk, if you can delve into like how has it all gone a bit soft or a bit cold for Felix, compared to the huge expectations everybody had from him.
So, that's the thing actually I was trying to allude to earlier, like when you were talking about, like we had established players, with the likes of Radamel Falcao and Antoine Griezmann before they came to Atletico. Well, the point is, you also see, like, to be honest, like João Felix in his own right was also like a big player at Benfica. If I'm not, he came from Benfica, so he was a big player in his own right as well before he came here. So the point is, you're coming now, as a big fish in a small pond, and now you're coming into a pond where there are all the bigger fishes. So it's not just about your skill anymore. It's not about also your attitude as well. How do you apply yourself in this situation? And to be honest, like a lot of people will rightly like to take the cheap shot at Simeone that he just kills talented attacking players and what is not. But to be honest, like Felix hasn't put himself in. He hasn't covered himself in a lot of grease as well. But then credit where it's due as well. There was a point last year where João Felix was actually the best player at Atletico Madrid. He was the best attacker there. I think it was just a period around when they were playing Man City, if I'm not mistaken. So around the quarterfinals of the Champions League, I could say from January actually to around the quarterfinals of the Champions League. To be honest, he was really good. Because I remember also he scored against United to eliminate United, I think, in the round of 16 or something like that.
No, it was the other guy, right? It was Reinildo who scored the winner against United.
No, he scored in the first leg against United.
Yeah, in the first leg, but the goal that put them through was Reinildo. I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at that point in time, he was, to be honest, he was in. I think he was in the best form he had shown since when he came to Atleti. And then all of a sudden, his form started to dip, and also, like, to be honest, like towards the end of the season, Atleti's form also started to dip, because I remember like there was a game against Villarreal, that I watched, and really the Yellow Submarines just took a piece out of them, to be honest. So I think it was all downhill since then, and also for Atleti, okay, it's also right to point out that the game against City, to be honest, as much as it took a lot out of City, it took a lot out of Atletico Madrid as well. Like they also gave a lot in that match, so it's drained them a lot. So it might just be exhaustion. But the point is, since the last 4 games of last season, João Felix hasn't scored in what amounts to a total of 736 minutes. So when you consider the fact that we've played 5 Liga games, we've played 2 Champions League matches, it's been 7 games coupled with the last 4 games, it's been 11 games and João Felix hasn't scored. I mean, that's a huge number of games. And, we could talk about exhaustion and what is and what is not. He's had the preseason, to rest, recharge, and regain his form. But so far, so good. It's not been working out. It's just been, and as you just pointed out, even in the game against Leverkusen, there were flashes of opportunities that he could have taken. But so far, so good. It's not been working for them. And the point is, he's lining up together with Alvaro Morata, and we all know we don't need to talk about Morata. We all know what he is capable of and what he isn't capable of, rather. So it's because of that, it's just been a very blunt attack for Atleti, to be honest, since the start of the season. So it's just it's either they rely on set pieces or they just have to wait for the second half and hope that someone comes off the bench and does something for them, to be honest. But then it's been so far so good. But then I just want to pose this to you, Jacob, to be honest. Like, what do you think about João Felix personally? Like, do you actually think that João Felix was worth the 120 million euros?
I'm gonna say yes, purely because of his resale value as well. Like, even if Atletico decides to sell him now, like, they'll easily get 100 million from any team, easy. And so that is one of the reasons why.
Spoken like a true businessman.
Not only that, like, the talent is clearly there for everyone to see, right? It's just things just not working out for him. And what worries me here is, like, it's not just with Atletico, right? He's not set the world alight with Portugal as well. So he's actually lost his starting position with Portugal. He's never had it. And it doesn't look that great for him coming into this World Cup in this sort of poor form. So let's just hope things improve. But even if things don't improve, I feel like Atletico have a good asset on their hands, so they can make a quick sale and recuperate all of their money.
Interesting. Actually, I'm just checking the chat now, and there's an interesting battle going on there. So as I told you guys before, like, there's Raul who has actually decided to spam our comments. So actually, he's going back and forth with Yedu, and he's trying to claim that. I think you guys can guess that João Felix is better than someone.
Vinicius? Okay.
Exactly.
No comments.
Yeah.
No comments.
But then, yeah, they're just trolling each other. I think he's very aware that they're not even in the same realm, and they don't even live on the same continent, man. Not even to talk about.
Yeah. Like, I don't get the comparisons. Like, Vinicius has completely overperformed his expectation, but Felix, on the other hand, has underperformed severely. I mean, the price tag is not his fault, but he was the golden boy of Benfica, so not a fair comparison.
And of Portugal, like, he was supposed to be the Cristiano Ronaldo successor as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I do actually, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I am wrong, just forgive me for that. I think there was a time where Cristiano didn't play in the international break, and Felix had the number 7 jersey.
Yeah, was it in the Nations League? I think so.
I can't recall exactly, but I do remember there was a time, I just remember because Jacob was saying about, he was also the golden boy of, Portugal. Like, so that's how much, because don't forget, like, let's not forget this. He was from Figo to Cristiano. Like, I mean, Figo was a generational talent, man.
Yeah.
Figo was on a different level, from Figo to Cristiano, and then João Felix. So it talks about, how much, these people actually, valued and, placed faith in him, to be honest. Well, then I'm just going to come back to you, Sinead. Why do you think it hasn't worked for João Felix?
Combination of factors. The team he plays in doesn't help him. We all know it. It doesn't help him. Felix is a kind of person who likes the ball to feet and would like to be involved in play far more than what he's doing. He's basically chasing lost causes. That's not how you can kind of play to Felix's strengths. It is a sorry sight, especially whenever I watch Atleti in Europe and Felix is doing all the dog work. It's not a good look. Perhaps you would see the real João Felix if he plays for a better team. I mean, I think at least that popular narrative has some substance to it.
Would you take him in Real Madrid? Like,
in a heartbeat. To replace who?
Benzema.
Well, that's a huge ask. Yeah, you can't compare where Benzema was. Like, I would say Benzema at Lyon was a bigger player than Felix is right now. So it is a hard ask, but I always believe the inconsistent players and the players who have kind of lost their way a bit, when they come to us, I think our club as an institution can kind of bring them and put them on the right track. So, he has lots of potential. I'm sure we can do something with it.
Yo, Jacob, do you know one way to find out who is an Arsenal fan? They never stop believing. They're full of optimism. They always believe and believe and believe. They're optimists, man. Anyways, Jacob, I'm just gonna leave the floor to you. So he actually laid this out there, and he said that if João Felix went to a better club, he would be a better player. Do you believe this is the case?
Well, yeah, like obviously, if you go to a club like City, they can make any player look good. So, and João Felix could.
Sorry. Before you go on, let me just interrupt you there. So you're saying like City can make any player look good. So are you saying that now João Felix isn't that good? Is that what you're trying to say here?
No, like everyone knows his potential, right? And he has that real natural ability to keep the ball at his feet and produce special moments. It's just that he has to have a system around him to maximize that those certain moments of brilliance. So I feel like a really organized team, so maybe your Bayerns or your City could be a good fit for him. Like that's my opinion. Like, what do you think?
I agree, to be honest. I think like City will eventually be a good fit for him. I think City, I think even Liverpool would have been a good fit for him as well, to be honest. And to be honest, I think he's a player which I would really, really love to see at Real Madrid as well. I know why I want to see, I totally agree, with
you were mocking my optimism.
Man, we have to take the pieces here and there, man. Like, what can we do, man? What else can we do?
Fair enough.
So that's it's all part of the business, man. What can we do? So okay, yeah. So speaking of João Felix and performing and not performing, so like there's a situation going on right now that at Atletico Madrid, a situation between Atleti and Barcelona, which is becoming so comical because it's just become customary that after 68 minutes you just see a certain number 8 just comes up and warms and takes off the jacket, and it's now become like a tradition, like a ritual every game. And who is this none other than the Antoine Griezmann. Even before we delve into this, I kind of feel like this has become, a pity for Griezmann. I remember like, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Griezmann was touted as the next best player behind Cristiano and Messi, and now he's found himself in a situation whereby he has to play just 20, 25 minutes a game. I mean, that's so, to be honest, that's so, I don't know. That's like what a big fault from Griezmann. I mean, that's a huge fault, to be honest. I don't know how even to quantify that, to be honest. I'm just speechless. But anyways, let's just let's just get the people through this, and then we can discuss the Griezmann thing. So the thing is this: like right now, what's happening is that there is a clause in the loan, which is like Barca loaned Griezmann to Atleti for 2 years. So there is a clause in the loan that says that Griezmann cannot play more than 45 minutes in 50% of the games he's available for. So assuming that he's available for, so let's assume that he's available for, for 30 games, he can play more than 45 minutes in 15 games. Okay, so now the thing is that they're saying it's across 2 seasons. So like, I was reading earlier today that because it's across 2 seasons, so like if he plays more than 45 minutes in 14 games for Atletico Madrid this season, then Atleti has to pay Barca 14 million euros. And like Atleti right now are almost in a debt over 1 billion euros, because like they built the new stadium and what is not. So they're saying we cannot pay this. And like Simeone is totally on board with, as you know, Simeone is an Atleti first person. So like whatever serves Atleti best is going to be that. So he's totally on board with that. And like, he's just on Antoine Griezmann. I mean, they should just give him the number 60. It will be better, man. Take off the 8 and just give him the number 60. He's just turned Antoine Griezmann into the 60th minute person. And to all credit, to be honest, to Antoine Griezmann, in all their games after the 60th minutes, Atleti becomes a different team. So like he comes on and to be honest, he's a quality player. Even if his form is patchy for the past couple of years, but he's a real quality player. To be honest, a really top player. So like, every time they've introduced him into the team, he's always, improved the level. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think he has 3 or 4 goal contributions, 2 goals and either 1 or 2 assists. I'm not sure. And even Sunaid was talking about earlier about the game, we against Porto at the Metropolitano, it was Griezmann who scored the winner at 90 plus 6. I think he also assisted in that game, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong or not. I can't remember exactly. But that's the thing, man. Like it's so sad, man. Let me just come to you, Jacob. Like just tell me, what do you feel, about this situation, about the whole getting a player on loan, not willing to, because I feel like this is just like cheating. Atleti are literally trying to cheat Barca. Okay, I'm not a Barca fan, but I feel like this is cheating. Atleti are literally cheating Barcelona because there is a contract there, and Griezmann is fit, and 100% of the time he starts.
Also, you got to put it into perspective. Griezmann is an Atleti legend more than a Barca legend, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I think right now, like Griezmann have tainted everything, man. Like I don't think Griezmann will be considered a legend after he stopped playing, man, because he's just spoiled everything, man. The way he left Atleti, the way he went to Barca, I just feel like, man, these are people who just. I mean, obviously, eventually, maybe the fans will forgive him. But I feel
but the propaganda is pushing him as an Atleti legend, because I was on the Atleti official Twitter a couple hours ago, and they put up a poster, saying Griezmann Atleti legend. Like, if you can log into Twitter and bring it up, like we can all have a laugh, Farouk. But yeah, that's totally up to you.
I see, man. I see. Anyways, Jacob, man, I was at you, man. So how do you think? What do you think about this farce, man? Because there is no adjective to define the farce.
Like just from a Barca fan perspective, yeah, this must make them mad. Like already they're hosting weddings in their stadium. They're trying to earn money in however they can, right? And they're getting cheated out of a huge sum of money, at least from their perspective. This is just peanuts for us, but it's huge for a club of their stature. So yeah, frustrating situation for all the Barca fans, but for all the other fans, it's like a memeable opportunity and a lot of fun.
Actually, Jacob, let me just throw this at you. So in the chat, our favorite Atletico fan, he's saying to you that I think Jacob is an original Barca fan.
Barca fan, like.
I mean, is there a substance to that, Jacob? Like, why would a stranger just say?
No, at least he didn't find out that I was originally an Arsenal fan. So take that as a win. No, but for sure, I'm not, just as a disclaimer, I'm not a Barca fan. I've never been a Barca fan, never will be as well.
He's trying to take the piss, don't give him attention. But yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so Sunaid, I was just actually going to give this to you. Like, so the thing is this now. We are a second half team, right? This is what I think Jacob and Yedu came up together and decided that, okay, we're going to adopt this team, the second half team. I think on one of our pods, they decided to name us this. So we're the second half team. Atleti are the second half team. With the introduction of Griezmann, who we believe is a world-class talent.
Llorente as well, as per what people suggest. He's going to be coming on in the second half as well.
Yeah. So what do you think? What's your take on this battle of second half teams?
Yeah,
especially 68-minute teams, man.
This is where Yedu has to come in. This is your cue, bro. But yeah, well, like he was touching upon it earlier. This obsession with only upping the gear towards the last 30 minutes of the game. I think it's more by design for us, but for them, it is more of their whole identity. We used to absolutely blister teams back in the day when we were, with Cristiano and Bale and, the whole BBC.
Benzema.
Yeah. But now it's much more brought on by how much our midfield can handle. And especially our wing back, Carvajal is not his younger self. Mendy, as solid as he has been, doesn't contribute much in attack. So I guess it is kind of playing it safe and reserving the fuel tank for the last 30 minutes. But in my opinion, Atleti is going to sit back, and they are also going to try to absorb pressure like we do. And usually, what happens, especially in the two L derbies of last season, what I saw was we kind of sat back for a bit to invite Atleti. But I think it's going to go either way tomorrow, because both teams are gonna be kind of trying to cancel out each other's low blocks. I feel like, especially since we are away from home, we are gonna be a bit more conservative than usual, and obviously Atleti is always conservative. So it's gonna be interesting to see, and I feel like we have players to exactly exploit a tiring Atleti towards the latter stages. From what I read, Rudiger and Alaba is going to be starting in the middle of the defense, and I fear for Alaba, but Rudiger is going to be there. He's going to be there, still making lung busting runs, even in the latter stages. So I don't worry. But if I was Atleti, I would be worried about how we'll be switching it up towards the latter part, especially Kamavinga coming on as a sub is going to be really crucial tomorrow. And I feel like the last two games hasn't exactly gone as planned for him, and tomorrow will be a really big stage to make another big step, in his Real Madrid career. So I think we have the edge. We definitely have the edge. Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, yeah.
Yo, Yadu. The sound is not coming. There is no sound.
It was fine only.
It was
No,
fine.
we can hear Yadu, Bola. We can hear Yadu on the live stream.
Oh,
Yeah.
It should work now. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I mean, basically, I want to hear the panel just talk about how you want to line up, where you want to see the goals, because it will be difficult in the last 30 minutes compared to the first 60, or at least that's my feeling. It could just be that Griezmann plays the first 28 minutes and then goes off, and then Atleti go back into their low block. But then there's a lot of outcomes with when the deployment of Griezmann happens. But yeah, that's it's an interesting proposition.
the sound is not coming for you.
No, the sound is good now. The sound is good. It's okay.
Okay, cheers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay.
We actually wanted to touch on the Vinicius saga as well, but since you brought it up, from the reports that say it is going to be Thibaut in goal, and Rudiger and Alaba basically at centre back, Mendy, Carvajal as wing backs, Cruz, Tchouaméni, Modric in the middle of the park, and Valverde, Vinicius, and Rodrigo. And the important bit that I want to point out is that since we are missing Benzema, I think it's not. He's 90% out for Sunday,
Mhm.
but there should be a 10% chance where he might suddenly resurrect himself and maybe bring himself on in the second half or something like that. But I would advise against it because we have a long season ahead of us. But since we're missing Benzema and Rodrigo is basically starting, this might be not as straightforward as I was thinking earlier. You know, like when I deep it, coming on from the bench, the real sources of energy I can see is maybe Ceballos and Camavinga. And especially in an attacking sense, the options are limited. Maybe a very motivated Asensio can do something, but it's not the same when Camavinga and Rodrigo comes on at the 60-minute mark. So you may be right, Yadu, that Griezmann can be a bigger game changer on Sunday than our substitutes. But it's
The only reason I'm worried is just because Kamavinga had the game that he had for the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a relatively short time. Just because he's been playing at that level. He's been playing at a level of 8.0, 9.0, 10.0 games consistently. And then seeing his form the past 2 games has been a little concerning, which is my only addition, I guess, to that point. Yeah.
But it's mostly been a case of when he starts, he doesn't look that good. But when he comes on, he kind of injects that little energy we need. So I have total faith in him. When he comes on, he's gonna give it his all. But Farouk, you can basically take us through the Koke Benitez saga, and the whole dancing is a crime as of now. It's almost like a purge law, where we can't celebrate goals anymore. And this thing that you see on the screen that I didn't know until Farouk mentioned it a few hours ago today morning, that apparently people inside the dressing room has asked Vinicius to kind of mature up, not to do silly stuff like his celebrations. It is interesting. Like I don't believe Karen Nasser or Dario AS. I feel like they can put out muddled pieces of information. But yeah, the panel can dig into this. What do you guys think all this ruckus is about?
So the thing is that Koke was asked about this. Like if Vinicius calls and dances at the Wanda. And then he was like, if he does that, there will be trouble, And to be honest, it's kind of disturbing, that you have the captain of Atleti, literally condoning the fact, or rather encouraging the fans, to not accept, or rather to be unsportsmanlike towards, Vinicius. Because as Suned also, pointed out, it's not a crime to dance, you score and you're just enjoying the moment. Obviously, like when you how can I say, like, as long as you're not rubbing it in someone's face, or like you're not just, pushing it into, I don't know, as long as you're not, embellishing it and overdoing it, I think Vinicius's dances so far hasn't been, in my opinion, hasn't been, out of order, in my opinion. But what I would say for me might be disturbing for me, from my perspective, is that, as Sunit also said, like, we don't know how much we can trust the reports from Kadena Serra as well. But the report on Monday that...
Farouk, let me just add, I think we have a comment from Kanifro saying, Ancelotti did say that if he wants to dance, then he should. I don't know how much the dressing room stuff is true, which is what you were talking about. But yeah, please continue.
Yeah. So, for me, the more worrying thing about it is the fact that, it was reported that he was telling the Mallorca players, in the game at the weekend, that what you think you're going to win. I mean, if this is something he actually genuinely said to the players, then I mean, he's crossed the line there. And now that is just, pure shithousery arrogance level. Like, and I mean, that's not something, because I mean, he's been surrounded by, very good role models, man. Even when you go, even from when you start, from Cristiano, like Cristiano might be an arrogant person, but like his arrogance comes with the order of, scoring the hat tricks and winners and what is not, We have Marcelo, you go to even even the father of the shit house, even Sergio Ramos, man. Like, if we don't have this kind of things from them, man, like that's the thing. Like,
but if you actually go back in history and kind of revise your memory, you will know that Cristiano was always like that from a very young age. Even at the age of 22, 23, he used to be arrogant. So if you can back it up, I'm pretty sure he's going to keep doing it. But you should do it in such a way that it shouldn't be crossing the line, like what you alluded to. But stuff like this, him asking Mayoka, are you really thinking that you're going to win? It's fair in my opinion. In my eyes, it adds a little more spice to what he does.
It's also something that goes through your mind when you play football. If you can just talk some shit, get him a yellow card. I mean, if I'm getting it at the edge of the box, if I'm getting a penalty for just saying stuff, I'll definitely take it any day of the week. There's no question about it. I'll just it just stirs up some trouble. I'll just say I don't know, random
I would
stuff.
I would just go this to the point is this, that Vinicius says this and he tries to taunt the players as well. Because I believe that Vinicius is in this phase right now where he believes that he's better than everyone on the pitch, and he's right about that. You understand? He can live in that mental space. But the point is, when you start saying these things to people, and you start going around and trying to do the step overs, I don't know, attempting. Okay, he hasn't attempted the rainbow flick yet, at least. I mean, trying to do these things. It's reminiscent of what Neymar was doing, and he kept getting kicked. I will just try to bring back, the point to this. At the 2014 World Cup, I believe that without the injury to Neymar, I genuinely believe the Brazil would have won the World Cup. The point is, why did Neymar get injured? Neymar got injured because of his showboating was too much.
But you gotta actually also lay it out there that Vinicius doesn't showboat us as much as Neymar.
Man, did you see the Mallorca game? Did you see the?
I saw the Mallorca game, but
even the commentators, Stuart Robson was saying at the end, Vinicius, if he wants to play for 15, 20 years for Real Madrid, he needs to understand that he needs to stop this. Otherwise, someone is going to break his foot and he can't recover from that.
No, he will get fouled. I mean, that's the given thing.
Yeah, dude. The point is this: he's not gonna get. It's not about getting fouled. It's about
Neymar levels of showboating. Neymar levels of showboating is
it's about getting kicks, man. The point is, if you're saying to people like, "Oh, you think you're gonna win," and then you're going and trying to count step overs, and put the balls through their legs and what is not. Obviously, they're gonna kick you.
Yeah.
And the point is, right now, I can guarantee you this: if Koke is saying this about Vinicius, I am very sure they sat down in the dressing room and they actually discussed Vinicius as well between themselves. I can tell you this for sure. I am almost 100% sure they have discussed Vinicius. And the point is, it's a derby. It's a derby, man. They're just gonna go and kick the hell out of him, and that's the point. He's gonna lose, and we're gonna lose.
See, you gotta also understand what all this is also stemmed by. Him basically being tripled up on the way, and also looking also other teams. Opposition defenders trying to basically kill him. So all this is also fueled by that. So I don't understand why it's acceptable to hack people down, but he can't show his own kind of response in his own way. I don't understand it.
So before you go, actually, we have someone who is actually making some sense, in the chat. We have Kani. And they're saying that what I felt from reading Koke Sports, again, is not anything threatening for him or Atletico players themselves, but that some people might find the dance offensive. Plus, he dances for Madriders, LOL. So I think what Kanye is saying is that, to be honest, it's a valid point in the sense that if Vini was to score and dance at the Madrid end, I think it's going to be cool. But if he scores and dances in front of 70,000 Atleti fans, then that's a whole different ballgame in my opinion.
I think that is what Koke probably alluded to, and the media just took it out of context and ran with it, which is something that you see pretty much every day these days. So it could just be that, I don't know, let's give Koke the benefit of the doubt and not take it too much into our hearts, I mean, it's common sense that if he dances at the Wanda in front of the fans, in front of our 70,000 who are ready to throw pigs heads, as is the usage, there will be trouble. I mean, of course there will be trouble. It's Real Madrid winning at the Metropolitano. It's bound to happen. I think that's the end of that. That's the end of Koke's, yeah, Koke's quotes. And with Dario AS, I don't know, the dressing room. It could also be that they're jumping on the story and running with it, which is, I think, I don't know, my valid part of the brain just goes to that explanation just for some reason.
No, so that's the thing actually. Like, the dressing room thing actually is a whole separate thing from Vinicius's thing. Actually, because what I read was from Cadena Ser was that after the Mallorca game, like Ancelotti had to calm Vinicius down because like he was having a go at the technical staff of Mallorca, because apparently during the game they were chanting to the players to kick Vini. And then Vini took that personal, and then he was like, I don't know, he was like, going heads on to them, and like he had to be calmed down by Carlo. And then like then it's not related to the what's Dario Assad reported earlier that they had warned Vini about this, that like you should not behave like this, something like this. You understand? So as I said, like it's just a whole bunch of stories that out there that we don't actually know how true it is or how false is it. But anyways, I've seen Jacob has been so calm, just waiting for the marketplace to calm down, and let's see how it goes. Please, Jacob, let's listen to you.
So my take on it is that regardless of what he does on away from like the gameplay moments, he's gonna get kicked. He's gonna get kicked hard. He's just the kind of player that he is. So he has to retaliate in such a way that he can stand up to the defenders. So this is his way of doing it. I feel like as long as he doesn't let it affect his game, so if he's just focused on his game most of the time, and he doesn't get sidetracked or get too much obsessed with all of these shenanigans, then like all power to him, let him do what he wants. But
honestly, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna allude to a different quote that I heard from El Chiringuito, was it? Where the guy said,
Bravo, right?
Yeah. So I feel that quote was way more damaging to Vinny than this one said.
He basically said Vinny should stop acting like a monkey, right?
Yeah, it's completely racist, even you could say.
I mean, it's what you could say. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you have a blank young man there, like succeeding.
That is just bullshit. What the fuck?
Yeah,
he said that
at the very first instance, and then he just compares him to a monkey. Like, the point is, we've seen Marco Asensio do worse, right? What did Marco Asensio do at the weekend, man? He literally threw his beep and kicked the water bottle towards Carlo Ancelotti, man. I mean, that's the highest level of disrespect that can happen. And everyone was just quiet, and it was just all good. And now Vinicius doesn't even do anything. He's just scored a hypothetical goal in a hypothetical match and hypothetically celebrated. These are all things that haven't even happened yet, and he's been called a monkey for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not maybe racism. It's pure racism, man. That's the thing. To be honest, it is pure racism. To be honest,
this is the way world works, man. This is not a surprise. I mean, we shouldn't be. I don't know why Yadu was kind of,
No, the only reason is he has that much of an audience, and if he's continuing to say shit like that, it's just unacceptable. So I don't know.
Racism has been on much bigger spaces than fucking El Chiringuito. El Chiringuito is basically your yellow pages in the form of a sports, sports show. But
it's still not okay, bro. It's still not okay. That's all I'm saying. It's just
there's so many stuff in the society that it's not okay. Everybody knows it's not okay, but it still goes on. I mean, what can you do? This is expected. The moment that Vinicius is kind of stepping it up, like obviously he's gonna get hatred in every form you can imagine. But in my opinion, like I was gonna say earlier when Jacob was speaking, that this is gonna be the Super Saiyan Vinicius that he has kind of was prepping up since last season. From now on, I think he is gonna pick it up another notch. It's been a goal a game. Almost kind of. It is gonna go up to 2 or 3, and this is only the beginning. I feel.
2 or 3 goals a game.
Yeah, Vinicius is gonna be properly stepping up this season, and a huge part of it is because the World Cup is in a month, and I think this is his time. Because I never thought in the absence of Benzema, he's going to step up. Did you guys think? No, you didn't. But he did. He is one of the main reasons that we are undefeated. 8 out of 8 games, which hasn't been done in 60 years. Put that into perspective. It hasn't been done in 60 years, which is close to like 2 or 3 lifetimes, 2 or 3 generations of people. So Vinicius stepping up in such a big way is only a significant proof, as to where he's heading. He has started the season the way he wanted, in my opinion.
Okay, so guys, it's Kanita is saying hi from the chat, and I just want to pose a question. Actually, someone is asking, El Clasico or the Madrid derby?
El
Clasico or the Madrid derby? Which one would you choose right now? So Jacob, let's start from you, man.
Yeah, right now, like looking at the strength of both teams, I'm pretty sure the El Clasico is going to be way more interesting to watch as a game. So yeah, El Clasico.
Yedu, what do you have to say?
I have the problem of only looking forward to the next game, so I'm going to say El Derby.
What about you saying? You think?
I just want to see us win ASAP and then finish Barca in the El Clasico. But yeah, right now, I mean, I basically I could just agree with Jacob, but I also think that given the tensions recently, the derby is also going to be fireworks throughout. Yeah.
El Clasico any day. It was always the bigger game. It will always be the bigger game, regardless of where Barcelona is, regardless of where Real Madrid is. It is the bigger game. But you can't downplay how fierce El Derbys are,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
they both have their
Definitely.
places in Spanish football.
Definitely. To be honest, I actually maybe this season, given this trend as Jacob pointed out, might be better. But for the past couple of El Clasicos, to be honest, it has been just the vibe hasn't been there, man. I don't know why. I just haven't been feeling the vibe that much. So, for now, I would say the derby for me works better because, just the level of the fierceness, And actually, I just wanted to go back to Sunait's point, about Vini. Actually, Yadu, if you could recall, we discussed about the evolution of Vinicius Junior before the start of the season and what is and what is not. Actually, for me, when Benzema got injured, my biggest what I wanted to see was, to see how Vinicius would, because the point is whether you like it or not, Vinicius has always been in a passenger seat, with Benzema in the driving seat. But when now Benzema got injured, okay, you're hoping what's gonna happen with Vinicius? Okay, will he still remain a passenger, or will he, step up and show a level of maturity and leadership and what is and what is not? And to be honest, for me, even away from the goals and what is and what is not, the way he stepped up in the absence of Karim Benzema, even you can say even played better than when he was playing with Benzema, you could say arguably. So for me, to be honest, that's much more satisfying in my opinion, because it shows that Vinicius is indeed, growing up. He's maturing into, this, so it put it, super saiyan kind of footballer actually. And we have Kirat in the chat also saying Vini has a goal and assist in every game this season. He's carrying us like CR7 used to do. That's a very huge praise, I would say.
That is a huge comparison. Let's not get into that, but I will get into the point that we discussed in what I think was one of our live watch-alongs with our followers for the game versus, who was it? I want to say Frankfurt. Yeah. In the game versus Frankfurt, we saw flashes of Vinicius that were really great. And not just his backheel passes to Benzema to set him through, to free him off his defenders. The fact is, I think we're seeing more of Vinicius because there's more exposure to his moves right now. When Benzema is on the pitch, Benzema is the attacking threat. He's the main focus of the defenders, while Vinicius pulls them away with his
That's
skills.
also why it's much more impressive that without Benzema, Vinicius...
Exactly. So here's the thing. Now, Vinicius is being put under a lot of pressure, and because of that pressure, he's come out flying. He's been amazing, and it's been great to see him grow. Like Farouk said at the beginning of the season that Vinicius will be the breakout player this season. And at this point, I agree with him. But I really want to see how much he proceeds to grow, and if
you want more of it. Yeah, that's a
I
fair
want to see
argument.
him being consistent throughout the season, which would be right now, which is a big ask. But if he can do it, and then he can carry out, I mean, if he can carry it until December and then carry it into the World Cup, there's no stopping him. He's young king on top of the world. So yeah, it also raises, at least before the season, it also raised the question of what Hazard would do, what Vinicius would do, how they would play together. But then right now, it just seems like there's just one answer to everything, and it's just yeah, it's just Vinicius.
Valid. So, moving on from, one Brazilian to another Brazilian. So earlier today, we are reading Madrid Extra, reporting that Mario Cortana is reporting that Eder Militao is ready for the derby. So I will just bring this to you guys. Like, I think someone in the chat was actually asking, is Rudiger a suitable replacement for Militao? So let's just start with you, Jacob.
Yeah, we did discuss this to the death, right? Rudiger is absolutely ready to take the step. He was one of the world's best defenders last season, and it doesn't look like he has lost a step this season too. So we thought it would take a lot of adjustment to get into this style of game, because we play differently to what Chelsea plays, right? We play, we sit back and we stay back. So Rudiger has had to adjust to that. But then I feel like he's done a really fair job of, controlling his outbursts and antics, or even, he does like to go for the ball first without taking a look back if he has any cover. So I feel like he has done a great job so far. So he's the perfect Militao replacement for this game.
That's a very good one. So I think Jacob is very positive about that. So what do you think? Do you think we should, rush Militao back, or just wait for him till after the international break?
We should definitely wait, because from what I have read and what I think, we're not gonna rush him now. And Militao, it's better, especially since, if you remember, towards the end of last season, when he was kind of having issues with his fitness, we were kind of pushing him to stay fit and kind of ride the storm out. But this time, I think since we have Rudiger and we have enough cover, I don't think we'll risk him. No, Militao. Maybe last 10 minutes, 15 minutes to see out the game. But that's about it. Nothing more than that.
I see. That's I really share. I agree with you guys. I share your sentiments as well. And I think this will also be a very good game for Rudiger. With all his aggressiveness and aggression. So and positivity as well. Because to be honest, I don't know if you guys noted, but in the game, against Leipzig,
yeah,
I could see, the way he was, marshalling the players, the way he was going after the game, hugging the players, lifting them up, this and
but
that.
Many people didn't think that Rudiger had a good game. I thought he had a above average game, apart from a few moments of uncertainty. But people thought he didn't have a really good game, Rudiger.
Yeah, I mean, even away from the game itself, because one thing I also was impressed with David Alaba last year was the way he integrated into the team seamlessly. Even away from the play on the field and what is not. So I'm seeing shades of that as well. With Rudiger as well, the way he's getting on with the players. The way high fiving, hugging each other, lifting each other after the games. It shows a bit that he's meshed with the dressing room, which is something very important. To be honest, I think that's something we shouldn't take for granted.
I always told you this guy is a leader. I told you he's a leader. You laughed at me. I remember.
I know. I told you, and I still reiterate my statement. I don't think Rudiger is the leader of a defense. Rudiger might be a leader of men, but he's not good enough to organize a defense. Not good enough. It doesn't, because it's a trait. It's a trait that you have. For example, no matter how good Rafa Varane is, I don't think he can organize a defense, in my opinion. So I think that's why it is what it is. It's not about being
But don't you think circumstances sometimes push you to become that leader? I mean, when he was Alaba, Alaba was the leader.
That's very true, man. You're right. That's very true. But that's what I'm doing. If you could recall what I told you was because I've seen him play with Cesar Azpilicueta and Thiago Silva. So I haven't seen him take that role yet. But as you're saying, maybe he will take the role. I don't know. So as you said, necessity is the master of creation, as they say, so maybe
when Militao and Rudiger starts, you'll see him being the leader. You'll see that.
We'll see.
You'll see
wow,
that.
man, that will be a comedy.
But I don't think that we will be pushed into that position. But I really feel confident that he's gonna step up.
Militao and Nacho, Rudiger and Nacho, man, but never the two together. That would be pure comedy. Man.
I'm just telling you a hypothetical situation where both of them starts. But yeah, it's not gonna be.
Anyways, man, I don't know what to say, man. We will see when we get to that bridge. We'll cross it. Yeah, so I just wanted to I saw this and actually appreciated what Madrid Extra had done. It's an appreciation post for Aurelien Tchouameni. They're saying like after a few weeks, Tchouameni is already considered a fixed starter for Ancelotti. And that's not even more prominent than in the game against Leipzig when he chose to rest him to be fully fit for the derby, which was coming up ahead. That just shows the level he is at right now. So what do you guys think? Like how, let's say out of 10, how would you rate Tchouameni? Yeah, Sunaid, can you just go on?
Tchouameni so far a solid 7.5, 8. I would say 8. I mean, I think I'm being a bit generous, but like we haven't been tested that much so far this season. I think Atleti will be the biggest test yet, and rightfully so. I hope he has a good game. So far, he has reinforced my trust in the decision that we as a club made to sign him for 80 million, which was exorbitant money. But every passing match day, I kind of can understand where that 80 million price tag comes from, because this man is cool. He's proper cool, just like Casemiro, and it's also a different kind of a cool, if I may say. I feel like he has slotted in seamlessly.
I see. So Snaggy is going with an 8. Jacob, are you going with a 10 or
a 10? Like I'm a pessimistic person, so I'm gonna give him a 7 or maybe even a 6.5 because exactly for the same reasons for Sunaid, right? He wasn't tested that much for the past few games, but then in all fairness to him, like with him on the pitch, we haven't lost this season, and he hasn't put foot wrong really. He's been there when the defense has needed him. He has put in some really strong tackles. He has progressed the ball forward. So yeah, a solid
assisted Vinicius' goal. Remember?
Oh yeah. That was one of the really good assists. He has. He always makes these forward runs, right? It's always Modric or Kroos who are staying back, and then he likes to make those forward runs, play those passes in. So in those situations, he has done well. So yeah, a solid 7 would be a perfect score for him so far.
And similar to Casemiro, I'm pretty sure people who does the scouting for us know what these guys do, because my biggest worry was Casemiro is one of the greatest stadiums of his generation. We will be losing a defensive maestro in that sense, but I was always also wary about his goal contribution as well. Casemiro used to chip in with very, very important goals at very important stages. But so far, I can see Tchouameni is extremely good at set pieces. He has a really good header in him. He can hit the ball from distance. So all in all, very promising. Very promising.
Definitely, man. Definitely. So before we move on, I would just like to remind the listeners that it's a live call-in show. You can find the the links in the description. Just come on, spend your 5 minutes. Just say whatever it is you want to say. It's a safe space, it's a free space. As long as we just keep it in the realms of respect and appreciation, we can just discuss and get your opinions as well. You're also welcome to leave your comments in the chat. And I just want to shout out to Raul. To be honest, although he's an Atleti fan, he's been there engaging us throughout. Thank you very much, Raul. Really, really appreciate it and respect, man. So yeah, moving on. So actually, I saw this and actually I really liked it. Like it was shared by Fede's wife. So he says he can play as a winger, he can play as a midfielder, he can play as a defender. He never stopped running. He never complained about playing time. He never complained about salary. 0 scandals. Fede Valverde, the future captain of Real Madrid.
Let me take control of this, if I may. Fede Valverde.
Sure.
Fede Valverde. Ever since ever since the latter stages of last season. This guy has shot up to levels that I couldn't imagine him going before. I always thought he would give it all. Every game he would give his 100%. He's a born fighter. All that was always in the know. We kind of knew that. But what interests me is his step up in goal involvement this season, because this is an interesting thing that I want to bring up. Carlo in the post-match press conference basically said, like if he doesn't score 10 goals, I should be probably tearing up my coaching license, which is true, which is true, because I remember me and Farooq having this conversation. I said he used to always have an eye for a goal. You were kind of shocked because you told me he doesn't score or assist enough goals, which is totally fair. But I was going by my eyes, that whenever I've seen him line up a shot or play a very good ball, that this guy always has intentions to actually affect the game, in which he can assist a goal or pre-assist a goal or even score, because we all know how unlucky he has gotten with his shots. How many times has he hit the crossbar? How many times has he hit the post? So like this season is the season I feel like Vinicius, I'm still uncertain about Rodrigo. He's the person I love the most, but I'm very confident in Vinicius and Valverde finally coming out of the shadows of the elder statesmen among our squad. And if you recall in some of the pictures after the UCL final, obviously the KCM is going to hog the limelight and take pictures separately, but even Valverde was kind of invited for a few pictures. I remember even in the Spanish Super Cup, he was part of the KCM in some pictures, so you guys could actually understand how highly they rated him, even when he was kind of going through a rough moment where he doesn't know where his place was in the team, right? But now nobody can say he's not part of the Gala 11. He is a very crucial part of the Gala 11, no matter where he plays.
Along with Vinny.
Yeah, in my opinion, he is the second most important player in the team. Can you believe that sentence? Like put it into perspective. Vinicius, seeing that Benzema has had a less than stellar start to his season, Vinicius and Fede stepping up in this manner, I couldn't even contemplate, how that would be possible, because I still felt like there'll be UCL winning blues, if you know what I mean. Coming off of a very successful season, they might be kind of slacking. But these two guys have single-handedly made us unbeaten. All credit to defenders and midfield doing the job, but these two guys have had big saves in pivotal match-turning moments. Valverde came on as a substitute against Betis, assisted the winning goal. Scored a banger against Leipzig. He already has 3 goals and 2 assists. He only scored 1 goal last season.
Really?
Yeah. 1 goal last season. From that to kind of being one of the biggest, most impactful players in the squad is a big step up, man. It's a big step up. I really hope he continues this vein of form. I would let the panel, say whatever that is left to say, because I think I've pretty much covered everything.
Absolutely, covered everything. Nothing to add. I feel like Fede has been going through a crucial time in his family life as well. He's had a young baby, and he's handled all of that well professionally.
Yeah.
He can be everywhere at the same time at once. That's what I see.
Even if you remember, against Leipzig, first half he was playing on the wing, and then second half he becomes this midfielder. And I always feel like him playing out wide has completely elevated his game. Like we all knew he was rapid, like he could be really quick, but I never felt like he was properly tested 1v1 in the midfield at times, because he used to be a deep lying midfielder, sometimes slotting in for Cruz during his early days, right? Like, um, but since he has that experience down the right wing, I feel like he's so much better 1v1. He can take a man on, beat them consistently, nothing flashy, not like nothing sort of the samba flavor we get from Vinicius and Rodrigo, but very efficient movement of the ball that completely smokes people. And put it into perspective, when you do it down the wing, and when you're not as much of a winger, natural winger, it is different. But bring that same skill set into midfield, it is lethal. It is absolutely lethal. I'll bring up a few stuff that I found out while reading about Fede. 98th percentile, okay? I repeat, 98th percentile in progressive carries across Europe. That is insane. You know, the amount of penetration that a man single-handedly brings out while attacking at his age, and at a team full of superstars, where at a team at the beginning of the season where people thought this guy doesn't know where he plays. 98th percentile in progressive carries, 91st percentile in shot creating actions. He is a winger, he is a midfielder who is being played out of position as a winger. 98th percentile among pass completion. This guy is only going to get better. I feel like this is just the beginning. Similar to Vinicius' trajectory. I want to know what Farouk says, because he has been damn silent, man. I feel bad.
So actually, it's high time, to be honest, like we sing praises of Fede Valverde, because what I've always said is, like, I feel like people don't rate him a lot, and it starts from us ourselves, because you could see the way Barcelona and Man City and all these guys sell their players, like they sell them so high. Even you could see even Harvey Elliott at Liverpool, man, the way they're selling them so high and so expensive, but we don't even do that to our player, and I'm really so glad, not just even Sunaid and Jacob, like you could see in the in the chat, be it Kani, even Raul, even Kirat, they're all praising him. And even what actually I liked was Kirat was like saying, like, we need a banger at the Camp Nou from Fede, and I was like, we're gonna dance to that for sure, man. I don't care what happens, we're gonna do our samba dance when Fede puts that out. To be honest, like, I mean, the guy deserves a lot of respect to his name, man, to be honest. Like, and the thing I love about him, is about just what we just shared, like, he just put his head down and work. He needs to play as a defender. He gives you the very best you can get. He needs to play as a midfielder. It is there. He needs to play as a winger. It is just he gives the very best, to be honest. And I always say this, like, why I love Nacho and Lucas Vasquez is that I know that they're not good enough, but they give the very best of their powers.
Yep.
But now for Fede Valverde, it's a whole different thing. He gives the very best, and he's more than good enough. So, I mean, that's the thing. But to be honest, like, we don't show him that much appreciation, to be honest, because, everyone just sees him as the jack of all trades, the master of none. Yeah. So I'm just going to, link this and pose this question to you guys. Jacob, what do you think is Fede's most effective position? How does he help the team best? In the middle of the park or as a right winger?
In this current Real Madrid team, I would say as a right winger, because we already have the personnel needed to actually go and take the midfield forward. But then on any other team, like Fede could thrive perfectly as a RCM or even an LCM, because for Uruguay, I believe he plays an LCM and he plays really well. He covers the whole left wing. He gives you all of those progressive passes that Cruz gives you, as well as become a goal threat. So yeah, he is the complete midfielder.
I see. What about you, Srin? What do you think?
Complete midfielder, high praise. High praise for someone who has always been, like, I still remember people used to say that he has a lot of energy, but he isn't exactly the most complete passer of the ball, or the guy who has an eye for a pass. But he has stepped up big time, big time. People can underplay that the assist in the final is a shot. I would say it is a hopeful cross, right, into a very dangerous position that you have seen current generation players do more often than not. I think it was calculated. Not that Vinicius is going to magically turn up and put the ball in, but a very calculated, hopeful cross.
No, but guys, speaking about underrating Fede, what do you guys think about his FIFA rating?
Garbage, pure garbage.
We're gonna do a whole episode.
Pure garbage, man.
So I so strongly suggest we shouldn't touch much on it. But I'll say it's a disgrace.
All right.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Compared to Pedri, he is lower rated than Pedri. Insane. I'll just say that.
Yeah, so I was just gonna push this to you guys as well. I was wondering though, like, what's your favorite memory from the derby in the past years? What's your best? Okay, just remove the 90+4 from Sergio Ramos. Obviously, everyone knows that, except for that.
Do you remember, was it in 2017 or 2016? Like, we were missing Cruz for the important game. We were missing Casemiro. We were all wondering what was going to happen. And then we had Mateo Kovacic. And then he stepped up big time. And then it ended up in a Cristiano Ronaldo hat-trick at the...
Calderon, Vicente Calderon.
Exactly, the Calderon. Yeah. That's a good shot. And that was the celebration of the camera thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. What about you, Sunil? What's your best memory?
I'll go for a different one, just so that we kind of balance it. But my favorite memory is the Chicharito goal in the quarterfinal when we looked hopeless.
Yes. I totally forgot that, man. That's a good shout. Very good shout, man.
Chicharito goal. Basically, like, I was watching with my friend. My best friends from back in uni is an Atleti fan, right? So he is a rarity. I hope he is watching in. I don't think he'll be, because he knows we are going to win. But like, I was watching the game with him, so I remember how much Chicharito's goal basically, reinstated faith in me. But I'm going to go for a slightly worrying memory. The 4-0 loss we had under Carlo, when they just ran riot. It was Ferran or Torres on his last legs, people like that, I just couldn't stand it. But yeah, that is a stain on Carlo's resume. And tomorrow is a chance to maybe kind of reinforce again. We are top dogs in Madrid. I mean, we needn't say much about it, but it'll be a statement. It'll be a statement to La Liga, and it'll be a statement to the whole of Europe that if we get the job done, especially away.
Yeah, man, I remember the 4-0, like, I was during my undergrad, we were at a friend's home. I think it was a birthday party, or like it was a house party or anything. And like, I think we were 2 Madrid stars there, like, and we were sat at opposite ends of the house. Like, it was just we were in the living room and we just sat there, and it kept on going and going and going and going. Like, I mean, that was one of the most embarrassing football I ever watched in my life. Because like, I was just rooted. I couldn't even stand, man. Because
yeah, that's the thing. We have those kind of moments. Like, remember the Clasico from last season? Like, it came out of nowhere. So you would never know going into a derby or a Clasico how it's going to be, because form and whatever you did before coming into the match day goes out of the window. So
exactly, definitely, you're right, man. So for me, my favorite one will be something more recent. The day Fede chopped Alvaro Morata in the Super Cup. That for me was the moment for me, to be honest. I was like, yes, this is it. Actually, for me, that was the day I would say I totally fell in love with Fede Valverde, to be honest, because like, I was just like, yeah, okay, this guy is the guy, to be honest. So and you could see, man, even when he left, man, Simeone went out of his way, man, to like appreciate it, because I mean, that's something like, that's so Simeone-esque, like, that's something Simeone will teach to his kids, like, okay, guys, in this situation, should not happen. So it was a really, it was a really, really good one, to be honest, in my opinion. Really, 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 I liked it. Yeah. So I guess, guys, maybe we can go with our lineups. I think we already know what the lineup's going to be like. Most likely it's going to be Courtois, Carvajal, and Mendy, Alaba, and Rudiger. The usual suspects in the midfield: Tchouaméni, Casemiro. Tchouaméni, Luka Modric, and Toni Kroos. And then up front, we'd have Vinicius and Fede Valverde, which either Rodrigo or Hazard playing the first time, but most likely it's going to be Rodrigo because, to be honest, he's in a rich vein of form so far. So I think he's going to continue that. But yeah, what are you guys expecting at the game? What's your predictions? Let's have your predictions in, guys.
Before we get to the prediction, I kind of want to touch up on what I think like Atleti is going to shape up. So it is going to be a 3-5-2. I think.
Okay.
At least how they're going to play, but maybe a 4-4-2 for the lineups and stuff like that. But garbage has been okay. Obviously, people are panicking on the right side of Madrid that Oblak is missing, but the garbage can more than do a good enough job. Felipe, Witsel, and Danilo Mandava as the three centre backs. The new guy Molina and Correa kind of being wing backs. Kondogbia and Koke probably midfield. Saul maybe, I don't know, if worst comes to us, Saul might get a shout, but Cunha and Felix basically spearheading the attack. I feel like we gotta take control in midfield, and I hope and I pray that Modric and Kroos have a good game. If they don't have a good game, it'll be tough. My prediction, since I'm already kind of in the flow, I'll say a very tight 2-1, and I think they're gonna score first. You never know. That's my gut feeling.
A comeback, you're saying?
Yeah.
A comeback at the Metropolitano. Wow, that would be great.
Well, we gotta come back. We gotta keep this momentum and keep it running. Otherwise,
yeah, definitely, man.
Anything other than a win is gonna be a debt. I want to just keep this going, personally. Jacob, you can go.
Imagine the comeback. Imagine the comeback. Like the 2-1. Where Vinicius scores the second goal to complete the comeback in the 98th minute, and he starts to dance the samba in front of the 70,000.
There'll be blood. I'll just say that. I just hope he's much more. I don't think he's that tone deaf. Vinicius is not that tone deaf compared to Neymar. That's why I felt like some of the statements that you made were kind of a little overblown, because I feel like Vinicius is much more self-aware of when to do what and how to do it. So he'll know to play his cards well.
Awesome. Okay, Jacob, can we go with your prediction?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 1-1 draw. So just trying to be conservative, and I feel like the player who's gonna score against us is gonna be, of course, Alvaro Morata. It's the Real Madrid curse. Always the players are gonna turn up against us. So
anybody but him. Anybody. I used to like the guy, but the amount of shit he has spewed up in recent years just makes me wish that he doesn't turn up on Sunday.
Let's see. What about you, Farouk?
I'm gonna go with Sunil on this one. It's a 2-1 victory, but I think it's gonna be more like we score and they score, we score again, something like that, or we go 2-0 up and then they get one back. So I don't think it's gonna be that dramatic. I think I'm expecting a victory, to be honest. I'm quite confident.
We gotta control Lorente coming on. He is gonna be hard to deal with. I hope Camavinga can kind of counter Lorente when he comes on.
Yeah, you guys are forgetting the Carvajal matchup with who is that? Carrasco. That's going to be super interesting. I feel like we're going to concede from that position.
I say Vinicius and the other guy, Molina, is going to be even more
Molina,
feisty.
yeah.
And people say Molina is not that good of a defender. You can easily skin him. So it can go both ways. I understand Carvajal is not the best. Carrasco is gonna be on it, but it'll be kind of equal. Like
Game of
it,
chances. Yeah.
like it wouldn't be going just one way.
I see.
I'm sure Vinicius has his eyes on Molina if he's gonna start.
I see. Okay, guys, I think we can call it a wrap. But before we do that, let's just shout out to our guys. So we have Kirat actually, alluded to both your points. He's saying that not just a Morata goal, but a Llorente assist. The the complete cost of the Madridistas. And we have Raul. Raul is saying, yeah, Raul now actually has a wild prediction. He says 4-3 to Atletico Madrid. Real scores first, and Atleti comes back.
Wow.
I mean, that's a very wild one, though. And then we have Kirat. Actually, they're talking about, the favorite derby moment. And actually, it's a very, very good shout, to be honest. Could you guys recall in 2019 where Garibay scored and he did a hand gesture? We can't repeat the hand gesture here, obviously. Can you recall that? At Atleti Stadium. I think I'm not sure if they had moved to the Metropolitano then. Yeah, I think it was at the new stadium. Yeah, it was a new stadium then.
Who scored again? Who scored?
Gareth Bale scored. It was like a wild shot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was a good one. I remember it.
Yeah, it was a good one, to be honest, because he was so on. Gareth Bale has this kind of calm person who
completely out of the script, right?
Exactly, he was totally out of character, so he was a really good one. Yeah, so I just want to shout out to Raul, as I said, quite solid spectator. Kirat, we have Kanita from our Femenino. We had Yedu was there as well, and then who else was there? Yeah, that's it. About really once more again, to be honest, shout out to Raul. He was there since the very first second of it. So really, it's not easy to be on your rivals' stuff, but for some reason, he actually commented that he actually did enjoy the podcast. And Kirat also said like the quality is really good. I think so. We have to shout out to Yadu as well, our Chief Technology Officer. The quality about this is all about him. He says you guys are doing a fantastic job. Yeah, guys, to be honest, we appreciate you guys hanging around because as the saying goes, without you, we're just doing nothing. So thanks for keeping us engaged. Thanks for the likes and the comments. Any last comments, guys?
Get the job done. Get out, boys. As usual, we keep it moving.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Jacob?
Oh no, just super excited. Let's go.
Okay, so before we go, I just want to reiterate what we said at the beginning. Our first episode of Rainers Bankers is out. The links are in the description below. We discussed about everything Femenino, so it's a very, very soft and gentle introduction into Real Madrid Femenino. To be honest, like if you're interested, I think even if you're not interested, just give it a listen. To be honest, it will pique your interest. Because to be honest, the team are super, knowledgeable. They know what they're talking about. To be honest, I feel like sometimes we're just speaking garbage, but those guys actually know what they're talking about. They know their shit. To be honest, so I think it will super pique your interest. And also when you get the chance, please also follow our colleagues on Real Madrid committee, and as well as Madrid. What was it? Was it Femenino? Momento Madridismo. Momento Madridismo as well. So the links are all down below.
This guy shouldn't do housekeeping ever. That's why I jump on. Man, shoddy job. His salary is going to be cut for a couple of weeks.
What can we do, man? What can we do?
Anyway,
a boy's gonna do what a boy's gonna do, man.
Fair enough. But you gotta iron all this stuff out. Honestly, it's been over a year.
My bad. I'm sure Kanita is there rolling in wherever she's sitting and be like, simple momentum Madridismo, you couldn't even get correctly. Yeah. Anyways, it's all good, guys. So hopefully we have a very good derby game at the weekend, and hopefully immediately after the game, we're gonna have a post-game review. A post-game review. And then during the international break as well, we have some things planned up, as Suneda has slightly hinted about, the FIFA rating reactions and what is not. So hopefully you guys just the drill. Like, subscribe. It helps up on our socials as well. Anything. If you guys have any questions or anything, our socials are out there. Just hit us up, and we will get back to you ASAP. So, guys, thank you for listening to us. Hala Madrid, people.
Madrid.
Madrid.
Recording stopped.
Okay.